and the Vegan Information Project in Dublin.
Shameless plug. I think we do have another question that's just come up from Wendy, which is, what's everyone's views on supporting campaigns, signing petitions, etc., for welfare groups like PETA? You wouldn't have any views on that, would you, Roger?
No.
No, nothing to say there?
No.
Well, I guess it's kind of two questions in one, isn't it? It's kind of petitions on their own. Are they, where we should be focusing our efforts? And also the groups and the kind of welfare campaigns themselves, which I think it kind of connects back to the original question prompt, which, does it undermine the animal rights message? Well, what would you say, Roger, if a welfare petition came across your desk for PETA? How would you feel about that?
Well, a funny story about that is I used to have a petition which was the recipient of which was PETA. And I was asking PETA not to classify Animal Liberation as an animal rights book. Because even now, if you go to the PETA website, the North American one, and you look in their bookstore, they only sell one philosophy book, which is Animal Liberation. And they always have sold Animal Liberation. And they've always characterized it as an animal rights book. And Peter Singer himself, as we saw from the clip at the beginning, says it is not an animal rightist. And he used to complain bitterly about being called animal rights advocate, because he's not. He doesn't believe in moral rights.
Although people very frequently describe me as an animal rights advocate, as you just did, and that's fine from the point of view of taking a political stance. People will know what side I'm on, where I am. Philosophically, I'm not an animal rights advocate because I don't think that rights is the appropriate terminology to think about the issue.
And he's kind of given up on that now, and he's kind of given up on the movement in that sense, in the sense that I think he realizes that the movement is not very philosophically sophisticated, and so therefore they will ignore the fact that he is pleading with them not to call him an animal rights person, and yet PETA will insist on calling him an animal rights person. And then the counter movements, I think the ones that Tim mentioned and that Harold mentioned, they always jump all over Peter Singer as an animal rights person because he's so controversial in other areas, even though technically he's not animal rights. So I actually had a petition out kind of trying to influence Peter about that, and Peter Singer contacted me and he said, "Haven't you got anything better to do?" so I didn't get any support from Peter Singer, unfortunately. But no, I tend to be very wary of petitions, and I know that Declan, who spoke before, shares this view, is the fact that petitions have got a particular kind of position. Sociologically, they've got a kind of position which is almost like society is fine. If there's a problem, sign a petition, and then it's kind of job done. So petitions are problematic as a general matter, regardless of the content of it. But obviously, if it had a welfare message, then that would be very problematic. There are even with some of the more modern groups, like I've noticed with the Meet the Victims groups now, they often end up with like a petition afterwards, and they're trying to close down a particular farm on the grounds that they haven't lived up to their particular animal welfare label, that their red tractor category is actually wrong and this kind of stuff. And so they've taken a kind of expose situation, which could have been claimed as an animal rights issue, and talking about we're exposing rights violations here, and they made it into a welfare issue through a petition. So I've never been a great fan of petitions, as you can probably tell, apart from my own.